the latest Nylo version 6. Version 6 was released just a week ago. It truly has nice features and makes developing projects much easier. I will try to explain the documentation on the website as much as I can in this video. I will try to cover all the topics in this way. Now, first of all, let's open our documentation, friends, and let me briefly show you about the installation. The installation is already very simple. You go to the installation section. The first thing we need to set up is called the Metro CDI tool. Actually, we don't set this up. Here's what we need to install. In other words, here's what we need to do. Look, it's available for Windows here. At the top, it's available for macOS. We are using Windows. It says open PowerShell. You type a PowerShell, you open it, and you run this command once. I executed this. It creates one profile file. Then you enter the file created with this command like this, and it wants you to write this command into it. The code I have is a bit different. I also added different things to the code here. We will see it together in a moment. You can find this code in the description section. If you want, you can add this directly. And lastly, it says to save this, and you can call this in PowerShell and refresh it. It says, that's it. This is how Metro is installed. The thing called Metro in our project, it's the thing that allows us to create files or services, etc. I mean, it creates files. It makes things easier for us, a tool like a weapon. When creating this project by using git clone over here, meaning what our friend has prepared for us here, codes that he prepared for us allow me to directly access by saying Metro create. That's why my code is long. If you want, you can directly copy and paste this, or you can use my code to quickly enter the documents. You can clone with the command over there. Or you can create it as a sample application by adding and saying Metro creates. Thus, we created it. Afterwards, you can open it with the cursor or with VS Code. Let's open it by saying example application. Let's say run pub get. Here you see the folder structure. There are Android, iOS and language files. In the lib folder, it quite resembles Laravel. And I already know the friend is a Laravel developer. There are quite a lot of structures and the code structure is really clean. Okay, how are we going to use this? First, friends, we came to our project. Here we see the env file. Here are our application details. If you want, let's edit the information here. For example, our application name, let it be example, default locale, asset folder. Here are the other details. By changing them, I write our command like this, typing Metro. It's preparing for us. And it gave us an output like this. It says you can use these. We will cover all of this one by one in this video. After opening our project, we are greeted by a screen like this. There are themes for channels and a light theme feature. When we click here, a toast opens, which we can close from here. And this is. If we go to the main page, our routes are defined here in the route section. Right now, one main page is added, and if any page is not found, a not found page is defined. For example, let's go to our home page here. Friends, our home page structure is like this. Right now, we see that a friend has added the codes of this page here. We have the init part. For instance, it was suggested to uncomment this, so we did. Look at that GitHub section, friends. I will run it again now. Yes, as you can see, it fetched the stuff using an API service from GitHub. There is a specific API service for itself, and it's generated directly from files. The model definitions and so on can be done automatically. We will see these shortly. Let me revert this back to its original state. And also, when you click the button over there, a notification had opened. And apparently, we can also enable push notifications. Let's try that too. Array state currently asked me for notification permission, and my notification arrived like this. Of course, you can schedule this notification and use it that way. Let's revert this back to its original state. Yes. So how can we define and add our own routes? Let's see that too. As I said, our routes are located on this page. Let's create another route on top of this home route. So when creating a route, we type metro and write what we want to create here by saying make 2.3 site. I will create a page. Let's say my page's name is settings. I'm sending the settings page. I created the settings page for myself and also added the settings page within these routes. We can see that the home page is the initial route, meaning the page that will open initially. Of course, we can also set it so that our settings page opens initially. As you can see, the settings page opened this way. Or you can do it this way, friends. You can set this value as initial route true. Of course, there are other things for this. For example, adding an add prefix route. You can add multiple GOTs. There are different types like authenticated route, and we will see these shortly. First, I want to show this. We came to the main.doc section here, and we found the comment line here in the form of show splash screen true. And if I remove this comment line, if you have a delay process at the start, as you can see, a splash screen comes up. This delay process can be here or in these setup sections. Setup boot, finish. When I click on this, in the app folder, we have a boot file in the strike folder. We have our setup thing here. For example, I here await feature.delete. Add the function and tell it to wait for 3 seconds. Then if I restart my app, it opens the splash screen for me. Here, the splash screen is done from here, meaning it's done through main.dot. So, how are the loading processes for our page here? I'm going to the home screen, friends. This time, I'm adding the init method of the home screen, feature.delay. When I restart, if there is a data fetching wait in the home screen, by default, there is loading, like this. Of course, you can change this as well from the loading style section. For example, you can select this in a normal skeleton way, which is actually nicer. You will probably like this. Look, it has an appearance like this. You can change this skeleton view or the normal view yourself from the child section. You can add a widget yourself. The widget you add will automatically take the skeleton view. Friends who are separate, let's also delete this again. The routes. Let's go to your routes. Within our routes, there is a line of comment. Like this. Friends, I am removing these comment lines. Like this. And let's import this one here. Actually, what it's trying to tell us is you can create a root group, meaning if more than one of your routes share the same God. I will tell you what God means in a moment. You can group them in this way. So what does this God mean? Here. The God you assign to the root God section provides protection. For instance, in the God section, there is an auth God. In this part, before proceeding to the page, the request will go to, it checks whether the user is logged in, and if not, it redirects the user to the home page. This is a protection process, meaning if the user tries to access other pages without logging in situations you do not want. You can prevent this. You can add a guard in this way. Of course, you can create these guards yourself by using Metro Make Route Guard. For example, you can create different guards like authentication, friends. Well, I created this page. How am I going to go to this page? How am I going to go from the settings page here to the home screen? If you want, Let's add a button to the home screen here. And let's see our buttons. Thus, we have our ready buttons. Here in the widget section, our buttons are located. And from within buttons, you can access all the pre-made buttons available here, such as button secondary, primary. You can create outlined text, transparent, and so on. And if you add your own button to the partial section and define it here again, you can easily use it. Let's use a ready-made button. When I write button, let's do our import like this. I set dot, and here I choose primary. I chose primary, and I'm writing settings in this way. I've defined my button, and it also has an on-pressed feature. We can perform the operation to navigate to that page by using the direct root command with the on-pressed feature. The page I want to go to is my settings page. There is a pre-created path section inside the settings page. I give that here, and if I click it, it will go to the settings page. I can exit from here as well. We've learned how to go to the settings page, but how do we send data when going to this page? And how can we use the data we receive and send? Let's see that too. When navigating to the page here, I can send any model or data as data. Right now, I will send data, of course. As I said, it can also be a model. If I send it like this, I can also receive the data I sent within the int method. Friends, I say print, and here I say widget.data. So then, if I go to the settings page, it comes here named data because I sent it as data. Or instead of sending data, if we say query parameters, we can also send arguments. For example, test. Yes, I will send my argument as 1, 2, 3. I sent it. And again, here in the init method, I can access it by saying either widget.query parameters or direct query parameters. And once sent, I printed it here. Next up is networking. Friends, what we call networking is actually the use of APIs. I had actually shown you it was fetching the star count from GitHub. If you want, we can create another page for this. And let's see how we can do this. On our page again, I'm creating a new page, Metro Make page, products. I will create a products page. I created the page and the initial root. I'm adding it here. Then let's refresh our page and go to our product page. We will list our products here. Let me show you how to make API requests. First, we create an API service. We can call this product again. Created an API service for products where inside the app, inside networking. Here, it creates our product API service. Here we have our base URL address and an example API request. Now I will use a request from a site like dummy.json. We will make our request here. So I can add this base URL here. It can come from the get environment. So I can directly add this to the env file here. I added this. Then here I have my endpoint bit. I can provide it here like this. It will fetch it. So what will happen after fetching it? Naturally, this needs to be converted into a model. We can't directly deal with map strings or splitting. We need to convert its data into a model. Of course, there's an easy way to do this. Again, here, I can say Metro Make model and create a product model. So actually, it would have been better if it wasn't product. But let's name this the product model. Let it be product. There is something called storage key. I will come to this shortly. We created our model with this thing. In my model right now, I want to fetch the ID, title, description, etc. We can get these. So let's have final integer ID, final description. I see. I can't say. Description. I provided them like this. Then, I define them here. I define them by saying required. We can directly define it like this in the from JSON part. ID, title, description. You can define them this way, or you can also use the usual method. By saying return product, you can fill in the product model here. Friends. I did it like this in a shortcut. We have our toJSON section. Here also for toJSON. We convert it into a map like this. Our model becomes ready in this way. We don't involve this model in the conversion process. It's already extended from a model class. It automatically handles from JSON to JSON operations. All we need to do is product here. Indicate this as such. Of course, this only retrieves one product. We can name this fetch single product and specify its type here as product. It must be of type no label. This way, friends, we prepared the API. Let's first show how to fetch a piece of data. I prepared my service like this. I'm coming to the product page. I'm showing it the short way. We will reach our API service. How will we reach it? First of all, let's have a product model here, like this. I'm making this part asynchronous. I say product equals await API products API service. It already suggests itself. When I call this here, friends, a callback called request returns inside it, like this. We can access the methods in this class using this request. We said single. I am calling the fetch single product method here. After calling it, it will automatically come in here and I will use it here. Let the child be a list style. In the title section, we can write various product description. Yes, I am refreshing my page. And the loading thing appeared automatically and it fetched my data here. As I said, we can change the loading process here, friends. For example, on the home page, loading style. You overwrite here. This comes from the NI page. I will do this normally now. We brought our data in this way. Of course, this was just one piece of data. If I delete this on the products page here, it will bring all the products to me as a list. Let's learn to list our products that way. We can do this in the API service using the products section here.
I am renaming it to fetch all products. I am changing the products here. The address I will request. All I need to do is change the products part here to a list and change this one to a list in the same way. This will take care of itself automatically. Later on, I showed it here as a list. Right? You can do this with a list view builder, etc. But this package already has its own list view, etc. If we write NI, you can see all the widgets inside NI here. We will use the NI list view as a child list style. There is context and data. By the way, the error screen is like this, friends. They have set it like this by default. Yes, here we have a parameter called data. We can access it as data title and data.description. This data section is also a function. You can provide the function here after pulling it directly through init, or it handles it itself in a shortcut way. We can remove these. We can also give it to the data part like this. Friends, yes, like this. It will automatically fetch and display the data. We received an error because our product shedit does not go directly into the list. It is found in the list within the map inside products. This means we need to specify this while decoding because it automatically prepares it as list product, and during decoding it uses config decoders. And here our product is actually our add model automatically we see what it does while preparing the list here. List product. I'm stating it like this, friends. It says list from data, you know, the incoming data here. This is actually our JSON. So that is, it needs to be a list so that it can be logged with the map method. In our case, since it is included within the products here, I indicate it like this. Products, when I specify, probably the guy will be resolved. It will automatically prepare the list itself. My products were pulled and shown here in this way. Thus, we have learned in the decoder section. The decoding processes of our models are carried out on the decoders. By the way, while making these requests, you can cache the responses you receive. So, there's a cache process. For example, for our request here, if we add a cache key, it can be a products list. And if we specify a cache duration here, for example, what's its type? It's duration. Duration like hours. If you say 1, when you want to get the product list for 1 hour, instead of making a request to that API, it will take the request it made before and show it directly. You can do it this way. For example, let's make a request now. It cached now. I will set my value here to 123 so that no results are returned. Again. Oh look, this time, even though there's nothing at this address, it handled the process itself because it cached it. So even if there is no internet, so this caching process is not only on the API, by the way, folks. You can use it anywhere you want by using the cache method. You can cache forever, indefinitely. If you say put, here it asks me for 1 key and 1 value. For example, I am giving an example, and here, let my value be test. If you say comma, here I write how long. It should be stored in seconds. For example, let it store for 10 seconds here, and then call it with print.
I can use it by bringing the sample broadcast by saying get. The get part here is a feature. Friends, pay attention to this. Yes, I say. The put process here is also a feature in the same way. I say yes here. So right now I'm going to refresh like this. I'll check. I'm refreshing. I'm looking at my logs. At the top of my logs, it says test test. When I take this as a comment line and say refresh, look, it printed test test again. But since 10 seconds will be over soon, if I refresh the page again, I won't be able to access this in any way. Look, it returned a null this time. By the way, remember it cached it earlier? You can call that cache here again, friends. How? We saved it in the form of a list. If you want, you can print it as a debug. I'm refreshing. It retrieved our data. This is the log it showed while retrieving this data. Also, friends, you see the part in between at the top. At the very top is our own log. This is the part where it caches. Besides, friends, if it encounters any errors while making this request here, you can repeat this request. That is, you can allow it to retry. For instance, I give 3 retry attempts here with retry, and by saying retry delay, it can be done 3 times at intervals of 5 seconds. We can specify it like this. Another thing, friends, is that within this networking, there are 2 API services and 1 product API service. These are regular classes, so every time I call this, it will return a different object to me. I can save any data in it, create a variable, and when I change the value of these variables during these requests, I won't be able to access this anywhere, because it constantly brings different objects when I call it, in order to turn this into a singleton class within the config section. Inside decoders, if I delete this part here, my API service has now become a singleton Or if I add this here, then every time I call the products API service, it will return a new object to me. So this part here means singleton. If the list we are using here comes empty, something like empty, you can print a widget, friends. For example, you can write empty here to indicate no data came. If any error occurs while making a request, for instance, let's change this request like this. This time, friends, it detects the error itself and outputs something like this. No result found. Of course, you can handle the request here yourself, like handle failure. Another feature of the package is that the bottom navigation bar can be easily added and used in routes. If you want, let's do that. Now while the application starts like this, when I typed metro, it was already suggesting commands to us. Here you see something called a navigation hub. Let's go ahead and copy it directly. I pasted metro. I'm naming it base. I'll create it this way. After creating, it is added to my routes in the form of navigation hub. And here my base navigation hub page is created. Here, 2 tabs have been added on their own. I will delete one of the tabs here like this. And I will name this part products, navigation tab. I am changing the comment labeled as page to products page. Do we have an icon for products? This one might work. You can specify one active icon. Let this be it for now. It's not very important. Let's refresh our page like this. We need to set this page as the initial route. By the way, you know how we are providing these manually ourselves? Initial route, copy it like this. You can do this shortcut, friends. After you write this, if you type 3i, it will automatically set it as the initial route after creating it. Now let's refresh again. I was going to ask if it would give an error, because there's only one page. It did. Let's create one more page. This time, let the index be 1. Let it be the same again. Nylo. In this way, friends, we can create our pages. We can also make a to-do page for the other page. Let's create one page. Let's try to make a to-do application. I'm naming it Metro Make Page, to do with you. Then let's name this part to-do page. There could be a checkbox here. Checkbox. May it be empty. When clicked, it should appear full. Let's refresh. By the way, you can change the styles of this bottom navigation bar here. For example, you can add different styles here. So you can customize it. And when you say .top, you can take this to the top part. As you can see. Let's open our screen like this. By the way, these stylings, colors, etc., all come from the theme. And all of these can change. The changing process, friends, from the themes folder. Here we have options like light theme and dark theme. These come from a different place. They come from the styles here. You can easily edit them here, friends. For example, the products page to the page. So all of these are in blue. If I from here, if I make the app bar background transparent, everything will change instantly. If I make the text inside black, it will be like this, friends. Of course, you can change this theme too. We can also add the option to change themes. When we first opened the application, there was already a theme change option. If we go to the home screen like this, friends, look at the bottom part. They have created a widget called theme toggle. In the toggle part here, you can easily change the theme with nytheme.set. The importance of the IDs here is in a config file named theme.dart. Here, since the IDs are specified this way, if you want, you can load different themes into this. Here you can assign different IDs and manage your theme changes through those IDs. Just duplicating these is enough. We specify our IDs here, and when changing, by saying film.set and giving our IDs, our theme changes. Now for our to-do screen, friends, I will create one more page. This page will be for adding to-dos. I am creating the add to-do page. My page is created, and let's close these. And let's first go to our to-do page. This page here. It can have a floating action button. Also, let's not have it at the bottom right. Let it be at the top right. Let's move out of this, saying floating action button location. I'm adding a top rounded rectangle border. And if we set its value to 20 like this, it would be nicer if we set it to 30. Okay, let it stay like this. Now when I click on this, I want it to go to a screen. What will we do on that screen? We will add our to-dos. We set that screen as add to the page. So I can give this to the click function here. Route to add to the page.path. I'm doing my import. This page will go away. We need to refresh the application. It did not detect the page. Let's go from the screen immediately like this. If you noticed, it opened as a separate page from the bottom navigation. So the bottom navigation disappeared. The reason for this is that we went with root.to. So if we change this to push get.to and make it add to the page, then this, let's refresh like this. This time our page will be accessed without the bottom navigation bar disappearing. And it has this advantage. For example, I went to the product page. I came back here again. Its state, that is its condition, is still preserved. This page of mine stays open. So how can we close this state? This too. You come to the navigation hub section. You set maintain state to false. Or you make this a block body and control inside. For example, I opened my page, closed it like this. Here, the site training has been renewed. So the site training has not been preserved. Let this stay open. Now we need to set up a to-do addition form here. Again, you can quickly create a form within the package. We can also structure our form like this, friends. We will create a to-do form with metromic form here. Let's write to-do. Yes, our to-do form has been created. We can see our to-do form inside the forms folder. There are also other forms here by default. Right now, inside our form, there is one text name. Different things like price, favorite color are given as examples. What will we do? Let's take a title, friends. Let's take a heading. We have one text. We have one large text, meaning we have a text area. And we also have a picker, meaning a selection form. And friends, when we do it this way, we can perform a validation process. For example, when I add something like validate, I can use the form validator here, form validator, or when I say point, different validation processes come up. So for example, if I set the minimum length to 5 here, users won't be able to enter less than 5. Let's do the same for this. Validate. We can do it this way. Of course, you can also perform multiple validations, meaning multiple verification processes. Here's how we do it, friends. Form validator. Instead of selecting this one, friends, if you choose the one with rule, you can add multiple rules here. For example, open the document, friends, write validation rules, this search section. There are quite a lot here. You can even add a regex if you want. For example, I'm going to add this minimum, whether it is 10 or at least 5, allow up to 100 to be entered. I want to add this. You can add various validations. These styles are the default style. You can give your own name here. Let's say you came up with a style and the style you came up with. Ukshomapa, upapa, bokuk. Here, within forms inside form style, you can write in this section like the examples provided here. How will you use this form on your page? Create an object from the form you created. For example, to the form like this. Import it. Then, let's even do this differently. You to come to the place where you want to use it. For example, friends. If I use the form.create command, within this, my form will be created. If I provide my form using the form widget within this, it will also be created. Let's refresh our page. Today, I'm going to my screen. Look, my form is created here. If you want, friends, we can use the built-in safe area widget to add padding on the right and left. The safe area widget is included among the widgets. This is ready. It can again be used to provide padding. Yes, like this. Padding can also be given from the top or so on. I won't bother with it right now. Of course, this won't work with this screen, friends. We put it in the wrong place. Let's quickly move it. I went to my screen. I clicked. My page opened here. I'm writing something. Look, it says it should be 5 characters. It can automatically check its own things. If it exceeds 100 characters, then again, it will give an error. As you can see, we manage these situations entirely from here. For example, if I want the warning here to change, if I say comma here, as a message, I need to put it like this. Cannot be less than 5 characters. I can determine this like this, friends. Here you see it in English, but when I come here, it said it cannot be less than 5 characters. Now, how am I going to submit this form? I mean, how will I send this form? Let's put a button at the bottom for this. I can submit this form, my friends. So if I say form.submit, when on success occurs here, it will give me the value, friends. If you want, you can print this value in the form of print to string value. And when an error occurs on failure, we can also get the error here as print exception. Look, right now, if I say save, error, you see, the title does not meet the minimum thing. And here, the error showed up. You don't want this error to occur. Folks, you can set the shortest error part to false. By the way, you don't have to use this onPressed method. If you are using the default button, you can do it like this inside the submit form. Friends, here we'll provide our form. I'm saying form. The data comes here, friends, and you can take it like this. Let's say print data like this, but within the button, the onFailure feature can still be used. For example, shortest error, skeletonizer loading, when I make this true. If I give this an asynchronous await, feature delayed, when I say save it, currently gives an error. For example, let's write something here, select a color from here, and say save. Look, we saw a loading screen in the form of a skeleton here. If we set this to false and provide a widget in the loading section, for example, text loading. This time, our loading part became loading. By the way, I don't need to write this at length either. If I say await sleep again, it will do the same thing. Let's write our data in the package like this. When I say save, as you can see, I can submit my data in the form of map objects. Now, what we will do here is first give a space under this. Let it be a size box here. We will use a controller when saving. Actually, it is the class that will carry out our logical operations. In other words, I can write my codes in this view. But this is not always the correct method. Try to keep your functions separate from the view, meaning if it were up to it, we could actually handle API requests here as well. But it is always better to make a separate class. So we will create a specific controller for add to the page. You can create this controller on its own, if you like, or you can create the page along with the controllers when you make the page. For example, I said, as an example, if I put a trace mark here, the page will be created together with the controllers. But if you first created the page like me, and then want to create the controllers, I write make controller here, so that my add to the controller is created. And here, within the controls, a controller class was created. In this part, there are actually different methods within the control. Like if you go inside, meaning a lot of things that allow us to refresh our state or show a warning, etc. We will also be able to use this. At the same time, things conveyed to the page. We can also use the data here. For instance, data comes here, or query parameters also come here. We can obtain them here too. Friends, I have added to the controller now, but it is not yet connected to my page. We connect it to our page, like this, by adding it into the stateful widget. Let's refresh our page. And now, the process we'll do is this. After I click my button here, close this, I entered my data, I clicked my button, and after clicking my button, I want my data to go to my controller in the submit form part. So I'll make a function like this. For example, I said void on submit form. Here we will receive some data. I am specifying the data dynamically because there's not any type at the moment. I will send the data there. We can do it like this. This time, what am I doing? I'm not saying controller. I'm accessing it through widget.controller. I'm sending the data to the onSubmit form like this. Actually, we could also do it this way as a shortcut. Thus, our data has arrived here. What will we do using this data? First, we will create a model. Let's immediately set up a model. Let's create the Metro Make model and let this be the to-do model. And here, friends, our model is created. What is inside our model? There is a title, final, string, title, final, string not, and final string color. These will happen. Actually, I don't want to keep my color this way. I want to keep it like this. I want to keep it as a color type because I will show it in the application. And that's it, guys. I want it like this. Then, because we will do this using the fromJSON method, where is my title coming from? From the title within the data. Note. From the note within the data. Color. From the color within the data. But here, friends, we will take a switch expression so that we can convert it to this color type. For example, what was my color here? There are things like red, blue, green, yellow. If it's red, colors red, blue, green, yellow. I add these here, friends. It will now automatically convert to this type, and it has the toJSON method. We handle it this way. But here, we will use the switch method again. If the color is red, let it write red, like this, friends. And if you want, we can assign a default value to this. We can set the default color to gray. We have created our model this way. Now we will use this model here. I define the to-do type here as well. By saying to-do.fromJSON, I insert the data into it. And this to-do. First, what am I doing? I am saving it to my database. That is, I am saving it to my phone's memory. The package also provides this for us. By saying to-do.save, look, there are save and save collection options. The save section says that it saves to secure storage and save to collection. It says it saves to a collection. Now, since we will have more than one to do, we will save these to a collection. So it will turn them into a list that adds on top each time I call this method. Therefore, I'm choosing the save to collection method. Now, because Tulu is an object, my friends, and it is derived from the model class, we can directly do save to collection. Because its type is certain, its key is certain, everything is certain. Actually, if we go into the Tulu class, you can see that there is one storage key inside it. Here is what I told you I would say. I just said it. It stores it in memory using this key. So,
Can we manually save to memory ourselves? Yes, we can. Here's how we do it. If I say new storage, friends, .add to collection. Look here, save to collection. Here, add to collection. The same methods are here as well. I say add to collection. This time it asks me for a key. The keys here, friends, are in the config. We can save it inside the key. We can save the keys here, just like they are defined here, and specify the item here. Thus, we can again perform memory recording. After creating here, you make its definition here. Additionally, it has given an example here. You can also set this as .default value. Of course, as I mentioned, when I say case dot, let's import this. For example, out dot. I can access the same database from here and reach methods like add to collection, etc. Again through case. So I don't need to use nice storage. In this way, we saved our to-do to memory. Of course, this will be asynchronous and there will be a wait here. What will we do after saving this? We will clear our form here. But right now, our form is not here. If you want, we can move our form here from this to-do page. Let's move it like this. And we can write the bring method if we want. Or you can remove this underscore. I say get form to the to-do form. And to my form, I access it by saying widget.controller form. After saving on the controller, I clear my form here by saying clear. And thus, our recording process is completed. And we will not perform any state refresh on this page. But after the recording is done, we need to refresh this to-do page located on our main page. We do this refresh process by establishing a bridge in between. So, from this to-do page, I go and I'm not refreshing the state of the to-do page on the main page because each has a separate task. You're not refreshing the states of different pages from different pages. This is a wrong method. We use events. We use the events section. For example, I did the registration process here. I called the add to the event here. What does the event do? It refreshes this. It refreshes the home page, friends. That's the only thing it does. Of course, different processes can also be done within it. Now, if you want, let's create an event. Metro make event. Let this be the to-do created event. We created our event. Friends, I am calling this event like this. We cleared the form. And here, the event, I had created it. I am calling it here. After calling it, I can send data into it if I want. For example, I can take the to-do here and send it over. But right now, I am not going to send any data. By the way, this is how you send it. You can send it as data. Currently, there is no need. I entered into the created event. Two classes have been created in it. The first one is the class where listeners are located. The second one is our listener class. You can create more than one of these. You can create different listeners. For example, let's change the name of this default listener part. Update to the state. Let's have something like this. We've assigned it here, friends. Next, what we will do from here to update the state of our screen, we do this like this with the update state command. I did it. Well, how will I access the state of this page? What was this page? To do. On the to do page, friends, I say to do page dot. I say path like this. To allow this page's state to listen to that refresh thing, we make a change like this. If we enter the dummy page, the state managed part is set to false. So, the function I just wrote, invalid. We activate it. I overwrite it. What am I doing? I am setting the state managed to true. Now it will be listenable. How will we listen to this? I entered this again, friends, and I am looking. Look, there is a function here called state updated, so we will use this. State updated. Data can be given into it from here again. If you want, now that our screen can be refreshed, let's design our screen. Firstly, what will it do on the first entry to this screen? It will fetch our data. From where will it fetch? Normally, we create a controller and fetch from there. But right now, I don't want to prolong it. I will fetch within this. My
let me have a variable like a list to-dos, and inside this friends, in the init function, I say let it be asynchronous, like this equals. When I say collection, it gives me methods. Or you can also say NAStorage. You can access methods like NAStorage .read collection as you like. Here, it asks for a case from me. Case dot. Here, we will actually provide the key of our to-do. That is, we can directly give the key of this to-do model, or if you have a key on the case in the config, you can give it from there as well. I've given this key. We don't need anything else. I gave it like this. Yes, I say, like this, and within the to-do, what will mine do? My collections will be included. They will come. Let's provide our to-dos in the data section. We could have pulled it here as well. It doesn't matter at all. In fact, let's move it like this. Currently, there are no results. Let's refresh our application. Let it come to itself. Yes. Now let's perform the addition. By the way, I want to add color next to this title. I came to the form, friends. I took the file picker here like this. I turned the title into a list. I placed the two side by side in the list. I opened it. Look, the two are side by side. Let's select our color as blue here. Let's say the title is example. And 1, 2, 3. Let's say this is my test node. And let's say save. Right now, our state has not refreshed. The issue probably arises from this, friends. The key here is not important. I temporarily changed the key here. When doing from JSON, our key, here's is not going to the model. Here's the super key, just like here. I added it to the end as well, because when doing from JSON, our key goes empty. Therefore, here, while saving to collection, it was giving an error because there was no key. We shouldn't see that error now. Let's quickly add this. Test, like this. Let's choose a color. Blue. Let's write some more. Yes, I say save. I am looking. Yes, we didn't get any errors right now. Good. Now, when I refresh, I need to get an error. Yes, we got our error here. So, it means our model, guys. Look, the error came here. It means our model is saved on the device. We only have a problem with showing it. And that's this. Here, when doing read collection, it's coming to us as map string dynamic within a list, not as a model. We need to convert this to a model. I wish we hadn't separated that. As I said, if you do these on control, it would be better for you. We can do it inside init, read collection, and it's like this. First, we read the collection. The list comes in map type. Then, what do we do with the item? Since this is a list with a map, we iterate with map. We convert the maps inside to a to-do object. Then, let's give our to-do here, and there is no need for set state anymore, because we will only run the init method again. We can say reboot here. Let's refresh our application like this. I entered the to-do. Look, my to-do has come here. Now I will add something again. Test, let it be yellow. I say add. And I came to the main page. As you can see, it has been added. What will happen when the button is clicked, friends? Right now, we don't have controls, so I won't show it. A method will run in the controls, and on that method, our to-do will be updated. Since we are already on the current page, the state of the current page will be updated. That's it. There's no need for an event handler because we are not dealing with another page. If you say you need an event handler, if you're going to update something on products, then you can use an event. So, That's the logic, friends. By the way, we save these locally. Similarly, there's another database that works like local. Actually, it's not a database. It temporarily holds data. It keeps the data as long as the application is open. You can call it backpack, for example. Friends, you can access it. There are methods like delete, read, save in backpack. You can temporarily save data using this. Also, where did we do that here? We did it in the controller. For example, when adding a to-do to the collection in the controller, you will see something like in backpack. If I make a tour of it, it writes one on the backpack under the same key. It writes something, writes data. This can be written temporarily in this way. Friends, now if you like, let's design a login page together. And if the user can log in, let them access this screen. If they log out, after logging in, automatically redirect to the main page. In other words, redirect to the login screen. How can we set up this thing? Simply, we will both see it and understand the package better. We will get to know the framework better. Now, I will create a page. This is my page. I say, make metro page like this. The page I will create will be a login page. And I want this to be the initial page. That's why I will do it with the dash I mark. But it didn't accept the letter I. What if we say dash dash initial? Alright, the login page has been created. Let's proceed with our routes like this. I set the login page as the initial route, and here's what I'll do. I won't show this page. This page should only be visible to those who have logged in. I'm talking about this bottom navigation. This entire page, say, I'm setting it not as an initial route, but as an authenticated route. This also the features of the package. One of them, if there is a user registered on out, they will see this page directly. If not registered, they will see the initial route. So we created it. Let's restart this. Yes, our login screen has appeared. If you want, let's have artificial intelligence draw a login thing on the login screen. Login here. Let's quickly open this part with artificial intelligence. Let's create a simple login user interface. I also want to show how it's done without a form. Let's show that too. Yes. So, our friend created it like this. Let's see. Nice. Now here, friends, if you noticed, they created two text fields to be able to control these. That is, to perform validation, to determine whether this is an email or a password. Here, I will use nytext field. I am changing this to nytext field. You can even add .password or .email address to the end of these. This will automatically hide them, even inside the password to be available. If you set the path to true, it will also make this addition like this, friends. We have created this. We also have a button. This is a normal button. It's not even our button. Again, we can operate on it. We will validate these two form elements on the onPress method here. Is this an email? Is this a password? Let's do it like this. First, let's take the text of both. Final email equals email controller dot text. So the controllers created in the top part are linked here. We will perform a validate operation over these controllers. I say validate. I'm calling this function. Here we set rules. For example, let's name this one email, and I'm providing a list like this. Inside the list, there will be this email text. There will also be a validation here. You can give this as a string, or you can also provide it as form validator.email. I specified it like this, one for password as well. Let's choose it like this. We selected it as password too. And there's an unsuccess callback. We can use it like this now, friends. That is validation. If it's correct, we can handle the login process here, friends. We can actually create an event for this, like a login event. Let's quickly create one for that. I am creating the Metro Make event login event, and we will call our event here how login event. I will call this, but as data into this, friends, what will I send? I will send email and password like this, password. We can send it this way. It could be a model, it doesn't matter. I am showing this as an example right now. We sent it like this. Where did it go? It went to the events. It went to the login event. Our data will arrive here as an event, and here we will perform the user's login process. How will we do it, friends? Yes, I say out. I'm using the class out. If I say authenticate, the data I will provide inside this. So with the data I will provide inside this, I will authenticate. I will log in. My login process will be stored on my device. I'm providing my event inside this. You should do it like this. Data event. Okay, I give it like this. You may have your token in it, or it could be other things. You add it here. Done. What do we do after this process? Here I specify my route. So what was the name of my route? Base navigation hub. That is the bottom navigation page of the entire page. This I am importing. I am sending it here, friends, like this. If you want, let's refresh our page. Then let's try. Yes, I will enter something random here first. I will enter something random here as well. I will say login. Currently nothing happened. Because it gave an error, it's because these are directly of the form validator type. If we call this .rules, it will probably be fixed because it expects a string here. Yes, it said invalid data because this is not an email. I'm immediately saying at gmail.com, friends, let's make up a strong password like this, login. I'm saying, and now my page has opened. Friends, if I refresh my page, in other words, if I reopen my app, what will happen? Look, the product page opened. Why? Because I'm already logged in. I won't see that page. So we also had a ready-made event, friends, logout event. What did this do? When this was called, it would log out. Then it would say route to initial, meaning go to the first page. What happens if I call this event somewhere? For instance, let's add a button to the app bar of our to-do page or product page. Friends, where is my product page? Let's add an action to the app bar here. I'm adding an icon button inside it. What will this trigger? Event logout. It will call the event. If I say icons logout as the icon, logout this way, friends. If I click, what will happen? Hop, my logout process successfully occurred. And when I re-enter the application, this screen will open again. So the logic is like this. Another thing I can show is the language of the application. You know, it currently shows as login. And the main language of our application is actually in the config within this environment. Look here. It's set as default local N. And, you know, on devices, it needs to automatically show in Turkish when it's set to Turkish. How do we adjust this? Let's close all our folders. And there is a lang folder on top of the lib folder, language. If I enter this, friends, there are a few texts. For example, I am adding one called login here, and let its name be login for English, for the enJSON, friends. And I'm also writing one for giriş yap for the login button. For example, let's display a name here. Let it be something like, let's take a name from outside. Let's say it writes Eşkunet. There, you can make additions like this. I added this. This is only for English. I'm going. I say new file. I say tr.json. This is for Turkish. You write the language code here. I pasted this here. I am translating all of these into Turkish. I will only translate these. I said login. I said login here too. And I displayed my name next to it. How do we use this? For example, let's restart the application like this. Yes, first we find where that login section is located. I went to the login page. It says login. Let's delete that constant. Dot. I'm saying friends. TR means translate. Or another way to use it is to take it like this, write trans, and provide it inside this. You can also use it this way, but this is more common. .tr. This will automatically translate according to the device's language setup.
If the device language is Chinese, since it's not Chinese, it will default to English. Let's change the login section. Here's what we do in the login section. For example, login. By the way, we set this as login, but if it's like the name login here, we need to make it login. Similarly, this will be login btn period tr. I've specified it like this. We can provide an argument inside it. Argument. I had given a name, right? I write it here as HQNet. Where will the name I gave go? It will come to this part here, see? It became login HQNet. Let's put a button here if you like. And let's change the language. They have also provided an ease to change the application's language. For example, let's add an action right next to the login. Actions. There is already a ready widget for changing the language, and it will appear when you type iLanguage anyway. For example, when I add this, I can switch between the installed languages like English and Turkish directly here. Let's have an icon button, okay? To its click event, you say and iLanguage switches dot show button model. You pass this, it takes context inside like this, and let the icon be the language icon. When I give this, for example, when I click on this, friends, what happens is right now I accidentally opened the emulator thing. This time it shows up from the bottom. I selected Turkish, friends, and it became Turkish. I selected English, and it immediately became English. In this way, you can also change the language of the application. And you know, if you want to create your own appearance, when we say new language switcher dot, take things like current language, get language list, etc. into the language list with current language, and here you can change the language. Also, friends, there's one more thing you need to know. For instance, you will use a service in your application. It could be a payment service or a package. You need to initiate them before using, like when you will use Firebase, for example. Closed Firebase storage thus. When you look at the example section of this, you initialize this in the main method. For these kinds of operations, there is something called a provider. In the app section, we have a place called providers. This is where the application's providers are located. For example, app, provider, loader, logo, themes are all added here. These are set at the very beginning of the application. Events are being set up. There is already a push notification system. It's setting that up. It's setting up the routes. These are all providers. For example, if you are going to use Firebase, you say Metro make provider. You say Firebase. A Firebase provider is created, and you write the necessary codes inside this Firebase provider here, like the things you need to initialize here. And like after initializing, for example, Firebase is initialized. As soon as the application opens, you will perform an operation. You will save data to Firebase. You can do that in the afterboot section so that you can access that service after Firebase is initiated. And there is a parameter called Nylo. By using this parameter, you can access many things in the application. Almost the entire content of the package is already here. You can access a lot of functions, etc. You can also configure the settings of your application. So, I created this. Where did it go, friends? Look, if it's a provider, it's automatically added. This will now automatically run when your application opens. That's it. Additionally, let me show you how the logs work. For example, when you type print within the package, such things come up. Print debug, print error, print info. For example, let's use one of these. Let it write hey here. For instance, there is an advantage when using this. For example, let's also write a text in the form of a normal print. Let this be normal too. The difference between the two is this. If within env, if you set the app debug value to false, the print info function contained in the package will not work here, folks. So it only works in debug mode. If you want, we can test it right away. Look, it wrote hey print here. What happens if I make this false? It will only print out the regular print statement here, as you can see. So there is also a print method like this. For example, I said sample texts. If you say dump, it performs the print operation in the same way. This is also for debugging. This won't be printed right now. Besides these, friends, there are datetime extensions. There are text extensions. For example, this is a text, friends, or let's create a text here. Quickly, let's say there's a text here. Example. If you put a period at the end of this, friends, you can access many aspects of this. For example, I want to do this in a title style. Whatever the title style is in the current theme, it's title. Look, title large. I can choose it directly like this. Or if I say color, set color, I can directly assign its color from here. Or then if I say align center, I can center it. You can easily style the text with additions like this at the end. Let's move on to date time extensions, date extensions. For example, let's create something here called a final date. Let this be date time. For example, let's make this object's date February 2nd, 1997, 20. I created a date like this. You can use the date here with extensions in a more, let's say, convenient way. When I write 2, I can convert this to age, meaning it calculates with the current date and gives the person's age. Let's do this to age.dump. Let it print to the screen. Additionally, date.to, if I say date string, it will convert it to a string. If I say date.is, it will do things like is age between, is age equal to. You can access is age older, is age younger. So is it older than this age? For example, is it older than 20 years old? You can check this. Is the date in the past, in the future, and so on? You can check these. Let's say point dump. There are different things, friends. Look, our person born on this date would be 27 years old. If you say date string to date short date, it gives a shorter date. And friends, let's close these folders like this. There are some additional things we can see here. Here we have something called Postman. As you noticed, the images are in the public folder, the application icon fonts. The application icon is done with the Flutter app launch icons package on Postman as well, in the form of collection and environments. There are two things. This Postman part works like this, friends. If you want, you can check the documentation of the package. It will already be included in the explanation section. This documentation contains detailed usage, the Postman application, like making API requests, PostGet. You can keep requests like that there. You also keep examples there. You can take a printout of it and share it with friends as a collection. If you have an environment, you put it here. What does it do automatically? It creates all the requests we wrote manually, all by itself, automatically. It has a nice feature like this. If you want to create a quick project, friends, you can use the Postman section. I hope this video has been useful for you. It's ended up being quite a long video, but I wanted to show it to you because I really like the package. By the way, I learned it along with you. I opened the API documentation. I both read and explained it. So I put a lot of effort into it, my friends. If you liked the video, thank you very much. I would be very happy. I read all of your comments if you leave one. That's it for now. See you in other videos and training sessions.